Around 1200 BCE, something dramatic occurred. Archaeological evidence indicates that across the eastern Mediterranean, major civilizations were either destroyed outright or severely destabilized. Cities were burned, palaces abandoned, trade networks collapsed, and writing disappeared in many regions. Scholars refer to this event as the Bronze Age Catastrophe. What exactly caused this collapse remains uncertain. What is clear is that no single explanation adequately accounts for the scale and timing of the destruction. Most scholars today agree that multiple interacting factors were likely responsible. Let us briefly examine the major interpretations that have been proposed. In the late 19th century, some historians argued that Bronze Age civilizations were destroyed by invading hordes from Europe, often linked to so-called Aryan migrations. This theory was sometimes connected to Greek legends of the Dorian invasion, which claimed that new peoples entered Greece around this time and displaced Mycenaean culture. This interpretation fit comfortably with nationalist ideas popular in the 19th century, and later with the racial ideologies of Nazi historians in the 1930s. However, it has serious flaws. There is no archaeological evidence for large-scale population replacement by an invading culture with distinct material traits. Instead, the evidence suggests continuity of population, but with dramatic reductions in wealth, security, and complexity. Put simply, the peoples living in these regions appear to have remained the same, but much poorer, less organized, and less secure after the collapse. Another popular explanation attributes the collapse to acts of nature: earthquakes, tsunamis, droughts, and climate change. We know that natural disasters did occur during this period. For example, the volcanic eruption on Santorini devastated parts of the Aegean, and earthquakes may have destroyed cities such as Troy. However, many destroyed sites lie outside major earthquake zones, and natural disasters typically leave behind buried artifacts, as at Pompeii, where objects were preserved beneath volcanic ash. By contrast, most Bronze Age sites show clear evidence of systematic looting, followed by burning and destruction. Valuable goods are missing, suggesting human attackers, not sudden natural catastrophe. Some scholars, especially Marxist historians writing after the 1940s, argued that Bronze Age societies collapsed due to internal socio-economic failure. According to this model, palace kingdoms became top-heavy and exploitative, dominated by a warrior bureaucratic elite living off an oppressed peasantry. A drought, they argue, reduced agricultural production, triggering peasant revolts that destroyed the system. This explanation also faces serious difficulties. Why would peasants destroy the cities they depended on? How could malnourished farmers overpower professional armies? Why is there no textual or archaeological evidence of organized internal revolt? And how do we explain nearly identical destruction occurring at dozens of sites across multiple regions within roughly a century? While internal stress may have contributed, it cannot fully explain the phenomenon. In 1993, historian Robert Drews proposed a more compelling explanation focused on military change. In the late Bronze Age, the dominant form of warfare in the eastern Mediterranean was the chariot army. These societies invested enormous resources in training aristocratic charioteers while increasingly neglecting their infantry. Contrary to popular depictions in Homer, chariots were not battle taxis. In real warfare, chariots advanced toward enemy lines, launched missiles, veered away, and regrouped. Over time, Bronze Age states poured more and more resources into these elite forces. Written inventories from places like Mycenaean Pylos suggest that even small states maintained hundreds of chariots. Major powers may have fielded thousands. At the same time, these states were reluctant to arm common people. Instead, they increasingly relied on mercenaries, many recruited from poorer regions on the edges of the Mediterranean, including Corsica, Sardinia, and Iberia. These warriors were not only soldiers, but experienced sailors. These mercenaries fought very differently from chariot elites. They used light shields, thrusting and slashing swords, javelins, and highly mobile group tactics. Sometime around 1200 BCE, these groups realized they were well suited to defeat chariot armies. Javelins could disable horses, and once chariots were immobilized, infantry could swarm and kill the crews. Between 1300 and 1200 BCE, these groups, known collectively as the Sea Peoples, began raiding coastal cities across the eastern Mediterranean. Like later Viking raiders, they were not conquerors or settlers. They were looters. Cities were attacked, systematically plundered, burned and abandoned. The origins of the Sea Peoples remain debated. They may have included displaced Aegeans, peoples from Anatolia, or pre-Roman Italians such as the Etruscans. Some may themselves have been fleeing earlier disasters. We simply do not know. What we do know is that about 50 major sites show evidence of violent destruction between 1260 and 1190 BCE. The Hittite Empire was completely destroyed, its capital and major cities vanished around 1200 BCE. Egypt survived repeated Sea Peoples attacks under Ramesses III, but the state was badly weakened and never fully recovered. Some Sea Peoples were absorbed into Egyptian armies and coastal settlements. The weakened eastern Mediterranean became vulnerable to Iron Age invaders beginning in the 1100s BCE, including the Assyrians and later the Persians. Egypt itself would be ruled for nearly 2 centuries by Libyan and Nubian dynasties that took advantage of its diminished power. In Greece, the fortified palace centers of the Mycenaean world disappeared entirely. Writing vanished, cities shrank, and Greece entered a dark age lasting between 200 and 400 years. The Bronze Age Catastrophe marked the end of the great Bronze Age civilizations in the eastern Mediterranean. Is Robert Drew's interpretation the final word? Probably not. But among the competing theories, it fits the archaeological and military evidence better than any single alternative. Most likely the catastrophe resulted from a perfect storm. Military imbalance, economic fragility, mobility of armed groups, and long-term instability converging at the same moment.